because remember I put a clue up on Facebook.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah, okay. Just give him a clue.
He's just figuring it out. Hello.
Yes. So, Medusa.
Yes, that one.
Helios Brewing Medusa Black IPA.
We had a fantastic brew crew last month with Ballistic and Helios, and we had Scott from Helios up here talking to us all about their beer range, and awesomely, they brought out a new beer since then.
So I had this. I went down to Brisbane on last Friday, and I'd ordered some in already, and I tried it, and off the keg, it's a lot more chocolatey, a lot coffee and chocolate. But this one here, though, it's really espresso coffee. Now, I actually don't know this, but why? It's the same brew. They've just canned it and kegged it. How is it throwing different flavours? And this is a question that I've always asked. I've always wanted to ask because, people. I prefer it off tap. I prefer it off tap. Why? What's the difference?
I mean, there's a whole load of things going on, isn't there? There could be surface area against the inside of a keg versus the inside of a can, temperature differences to do with the way the thing is moved, a whole load of stuff. I also don't know, I mean, you're a sommelier, so maybe you're less likely, or you're more likely to notice changes, and less likely to be influenced by the psychology of the things. So,
but I'd like to think that
you know it. I don't know. I haven't tried the other version. What I would say though, and you'd know this yourself, but we had this after and it was tricky today. We had to guess the orders because I couldn't try all the different beers. And even when I do, sometimes I get it wrong. But I guessed the black IPA would be better after the Timothy Tansy, and I don't think it was. I think the sweetness of the previous beer was a little bit like having toothpaste before an IPA, and so it made this taste really, really harsh. And I stood next to Davey while he was going on about it tasting, it's a stout, it's really, really bitter, really. Like any sweetness that's in this beer, which is a bit what you're talking about, the chocolateness, it doesn't get a chance because I just had a really sweet beer.
Yeah,
all I was getting was what was different to the other beer rather than similar. Maybe that's something to do with it. It's a bit like people recommending to me having a chocolate stout with a chocolate dessert. I don't actually think it works because what I find is, personally, is that the chocolate stout tastes less and less chocolatey when I eat some chocolate. Whereas if I have it with some fruit, like a strawberry and a chocolate stout makes the stout taste more chocolatey.
So that's a contrast thing. So we talk about complementary and contrast.
Yeah, absolutely.
In wine. And complementary would be chocolate beer with a chocolate dessert. And that's just heightening the chocolate factors. But unfortunately, a lot of the factor with the chocolate dessert is sweetness. So if you've got a really dark, bitter chocolate beer, and there's no sweetness to it, it'll actually complement it to the chocolate side. But it would be better as a contrast, where you talked about having a chocolate beer with strawberries, which is why cooking works well that way. Absolutely. This one though, I love the packaging. I absolutely adore the packaging on this. It is just beautifully one. I don't know who did the artwork on it, but the artwork is fantastic. And I will say, even with the sweetness being belied by the previous beer, I still think this is a great beer.
Yeah, it's growing on me, and I was kind of, as I've been drinking it, I've been wanting to, get my palate through to where I'm going to appreciate it more. It's got, as I think it should do, some real dirty, dark bitterness to it, which I think if it's going to be a black IPA, it should really do that.
Well, it should have some sort of hop character, and it does.
Oh, absolutely.
It's got some real resiny notes. You have to look underneath. It's like what's the really resiny, piney notes that you pick up in some of the big IPAs.
It's often something like a Cascade hop.
Yeah, like Kaiju Beetlejuice type stuff.
Yeah, like a North American hop that has typically has a lot of resiny flavour.
Yep. And this one's got a lot of resiny flavour.
Yeah, and it should. I think that's what it's supposed to do. The only bit I'm perhaps struggling to get, and again I think that's because of where my palate's at now at this point in the afternoon, is the citrus bit that comes in. I always find citrus in a dark beer difficult to capture anyway, but that's what Helios has said. It's you come into this with a citrus flavour, and it leads you through into other things. I'm struggling to pick that out at the moment. I suspect if I had this on a clean palate, I'd probably pick it out.
I was going to say I'm struggling to get citrus. I really am. I'm pretty good with my palate, but yeah. That being said, though, great beer.
Lovely.
And is well worth a good limited release beer. I think that's a fantastic little beer to have. And I said I love the artwork too. That's great.
Oh, I agree.
I'd have to say I think the world of beer is flying along beautifully. I think the world of wine could take a few hints from it. Just for the packaging. I've had wine still caught in this traditional, which is great for the higher end wines, but there are wines coming out now which I find, I look at the packaging, either it's so twee or it's so boring or it's so blocky, and they're trying to, I don't know, but I find beers, there seems to be more artistic creativity in beer than there is in wine. And I think that could be due to the nature of the beast, but still, I'm really impressed with how the beer industry has come along.
I can remember going back 10 years, 12 years ago when the discussion was around beer versus wine, which I don't think you hear much of anymore.
Nope.
And one of the arguments about beer being made is that there's 110 official different styles, and a million different things you can do within that style. And I wonder whether or not that allows a greater artistic creativity for the packaging as well.
Yep.
That makes it very difficult for wine to do, because
because
of the risk, I suppose.
Really, once you've broken wine down into its components, which is what's happened with labelling, that's it. You're done. You really struggle to try and find, like Super Tuscans were the last great development that they've done. Now we're really battling through with trying to blend alternate varietals together with standard varietals, or when I say alternate for Australia varietals, or the other one is that they're starting to blend some Vinus vinifera, which is a standard wine grape, with Vinus other things. So there's a whole bunch of Native American grapes which aren't Vinus vinifera.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and so they're working on that. But I mean, that's decades and decades away. I can see that.
And nothing whatsoever to do with rapid reviews.
No, but it was a good rapid review. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Yes.